Hello there, subscribers. Welcome to episode 1 of Stock Market News, the brand new series I'm starting where I cover the biggest stock market news stories I felt from the previous week. So this idea has been like boiling for months now. I even posted many videos about I was maybe going to start a new channel, a stock market news channel and whatnot. I got a lot of great feedback from you guys about doing it and this and that, and I decided I couldn't really keep up with that. If I'm trying to produce a video every day on that new channel, I just can't do it along with this channel, along with my actual business, along with the family, all those kinds of things. There's no way I was going to keep up with it. So what a few of you guys had suggested was that I do a once a week, kind of like a stock market recap, and post a video every Saturday, and it kind of recaps what happened in the last week. So that is what we're going to do today. First, I'm just going to run over basically what happened in the markets. That's kind of the plan. Then next, we're going to cover usually probably the 3 to 10 biggest stories I felt like in the previous week and talk about those. Today, I have 4 stories for you guys that are newsworthy in my opinion. And then I'm thinking about an ending part, which we're not going to do today, but I'm thinking about in the future about doing an ending part where I kind of talk about the things to look for in the next week, maybe big economic numbers coming out or big companies that are reporting and those kinds of things. Let me know if that section you guys would be interested in, and I could add that section in as an additional section. But anyways, let's just get into this, guys. I'm doing 4 episodes for sure. I'm gonna absolutely do 4 episodes, and then I'll kind of see how things are going. If the videos aren't getting that many views, if they're not doing at least 1,000 views within the first 24 hours, I'm probably gonna scrap the series after the 4th episode. But if you guys really love this and it's doing good numbers and whatnot, I'm gonna keep it around. I'm gonna keep doing it. So I'm excited for it. Let's get into this, guys. So first off, how did the markets do this week? Well, the Dow was down 0.3%. The Nasdaq was down also 0.3%. The S&P 500 was down 0.15%. Not big moves all around. The markets hardly moved at all. So what was the biggest story of them all in the stock market this week? Well, it was for sure Trump becoming president. That's huge news whenever you have the change in power in the most important country in the world as far as the economy goes. It's a huge news. I mean, there's no other way to explain it. When you have a change in power like that, it's huge. And so yesterday, well, you're watching this video as in yesterday, Trump got the inauguration and whatnot. So he is now president of the United States. It's huge news. It's just it's big time. You know, I'm hopeful that things can be great. I'm hopeful with every single president, whether they're Republican, Democrat, I'm hopeful they can run the country very well and the economy will do good. I'm as hopeful as Trump as I was Obama and every previous person. So let's hope for great things. Now, there's some big numbers that he's throwing around that I think we should look at here. He's saying that his goal is to create 25 million jobs, which would be the most by any president ever in history, and also a 4% annual GDP number. So these are some lofty goals. Now, I think these numbers would be great. Do I think the 25 million number is realistic to hit? Probably not. Do I think annual 4% GDP growth is possible? Maybe a few years. I don't think it is sustainable for a 4-8 year period. I think a few years you can maybe hit that number. I don't think it's sustainable long term, but time will tell. I'm hopeful it happens, but I wouldn't read too much into these numbers because every president probably ever in history, they always throw around some lofty numbers on we can do this and do that, and we can hit this type of GDP mark and this many jobs created. And sometimes it just doesn't happen, guys. But still, I like the goals. I think they're lofty, and it'll be fun to just see what happens as the presidency goes along. I'm hoping for some great things. Number 3 story here, or actually, well, I guess number 1 story was covering the market. Number 2, Trump. Number 3, Skyworks Solutions, a company you might have never even heard of. Skyworks Solution is very important because this company reported earnings. They get 40% of their revenue from Apple. So this is a big company. It's a big semiconductor company, not a huge one, but like a mid-sized semiconductor company. They beat their earnings. They beat what they expected to do for numbers. They also had very strong guidance. Guidance that's up 8% revenue-wise. So they guided very well to grow the company, and they also beat the numbers they were expected. And like I said, 40% of their revenue comes from Apple. So this is a big thing for Apple as far as If you thought Apple was just like disappearing and numbers are going to be horrible or something, that's kind of thrown out the door now with Skyworks. And maybe Apple could get back to slight growth coming in these spring quarters and whatnot. That's a very much a possibility now that Skyworks has that type of guidance. So if you're an Apple shareholder, which almost everybody's an Apple shareholder either directly or through their 401k or something, that could mean some good things for you, but I wouldn't read too much into it because they still do get 60% of their revenue from other customers, so maybe it's just the other customers that are actually going to make up that new revenue growth and those kinds of things. So it's kind of a good thing for Apple, but I wouldn't get too excited if you're an Apple shareholder quite yet. Next story number 4 we're talking about here, another one with Apple. Apple suing Qualcomm, one of the biggest semiconductor companies in the entire world. They're suing him for $1 billion. Yeah, you heard that right, $1 billion. So what Apple alleges here is that Qualcomm basically is charging them unfair royalties. Qualcomm's charging Apple unfair royalties that versus what Qualcomm is charging all other companies and things like that. So Apple is now suing them for $1 billion. How that will work out in court, I have no clue. I'm not a lawyer, so I really don't know. But I think it's something newsworthy because that's a substantial amount for even a company like Qualcomm. That's a big amount, $1 billion. Qualcomm's a big company, but still, they lose that lawsuit and they got to pay $1 billion to Apple. That's a substantial amount, guys. That's no joke. So if you're a Qualcomm shareholder, that's something to keep an eye out for. Also, if you're a Qualcomm shareholder, you should look at that and think, that's kind of some bad problems there between Qualcomm and Apple. So maybe someone else can maybe pick up that revenue. Maybe Apple wants to drop Qualcomm's chips eventually and try to get away from them after these issues and maybe go with another semiconductor company. So kind of keep an eye on that, guys. It's something very important to keep an eye on. And maybe there's the next Qualcomm is coming out and you guys should start looking into that company. So think about that. Think about companies that may benefit if Qualcomm chips get dropped out of the new iPhones and whatnot. Think about that, guys. Number 5, another tech story, actually. There wasn't a ton of news this week, I'll be completely honest, other than Trump becoming president. So another tech story out of the world today, the last story, is Samsung is going to go ahead and release the reason that the Note 7s were basically catching on fire and blowing up and all those kinds of things, guys. They're gonna tell us on Monday, which would actually be Sunday in the United States. So late Sunday in the United States, Monday over there in Korea. So they're gonna actually tell us what happened with the phones and release the reason on why the phones were catching fire and all those kinds of things. They're coming out a day before the earnings come out. They can kind of get that as a press release. So that will be very important to listen to. Why did it happen? Was it something with the batteries? Was it something with a chip inside? What? Was it something with a display? Whatever company is the one that's behind this problem, I would not want to be them. That stock is probably going to plummet on that day, and maybe it could just be Samsung's own problem, but man, if they actually say it's another company's fault behind that, oh my gosh, that stock is going to get hammered on Monday. So holy smokes, guys. So that's going to be an important thing to look at and just kind of see, what Samsung's saying, the health of their cell phone business, which is a big market for Samsung. They're in a million different things. I was at CES last week and holy smokes, they got like a product for every single thing you can possibly imagine. And like if you're talking about an oven or something that goes above an oven or a washer machine or a dryer or obviously cell phones and watches, they are into everything, guys. But the cell phone business is very important for their profitability. So it'd be very important to hear that. And it also affects Apple as far as that goes because Samsung's Apple's biggest competitor. So all this is kind of worth paying attention to, guys. I hope you enjoyed this first episode today. Let me know what you guys think about it. I'm definitely willing to hear feedback on the series if you have suggestions, all those kinds of things. If you want to have me have the ending part where I talk about what's to look forward to in the next week and those kinds of things, guys, I would love to hear that. I would love to hear some feedback on this video just because it's a new series and I would love to keep doing it and we'll just see how it does anyways. Thank you for watching, guys. If you just came across this, you're not subscribed yet, you may want to because we talk personal finance in the channel, we talk entrepreneurship, we talk the stock market the most, including this new series I'm going to start doing every single week. Thank you for watching, guys, and have a great week.